Are there any drummers in the house?
I play percussion. That's because he couldn't play anything else.
Shut up. Come here, dude.
Hey, man. Do you touch my drum set?
Nope.
It's just weird, because seems like someone definitely touched my drum set.
Yeah, that is weird. I didn't touch them.
I am warning you right now, if you touch my drums, I will stab you in the neck with a knife.
Not quite my tempo. It's all good. No worries. Here we go.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Drumheads podcast. My name is Daniel, and this is episode 60. Can you believe it? 60 episodes, and this one is a great episode because it is with JC Clifford from Drumtacs. What? Yes, I got JC on the podcast finally. My bad. We had planned this like 2 weeks ago, and my wife's car decided to like freak out on me. I thought it was broken. The guy that looked at it, I'm not going to say names, O'Reilly's Auto Parts. Anyways, they convinced me that there was going to be thousands of dollars worth of damage to my wife's car that had to be fixed immediately. And the night that I was supposed to record it, I had to cancel because, I had to deal with that. Ended up being the battery. Thanks to the guys at AutoZone. I'm going to give them a shout out. They're not sponsored, but thank you, AutoZone, and thank you to Melanie's dad for, figuring out. It was just the battery, but yet O'Reilly's had freaked me out and convinced me that I need to do all this work to my wife's car. So we finally arranged the time to do it. And, man, JC is such a dude. That guy is a positive dude. Like, me, I am, my wife would probably tell you I'm a little bit of a pessimist kind of person. I don't know. Sometimes like a little negative. But this dude is, he's like positive, tons of energy, just super excited about drums and, the music business and all that. So we just had a wonderful conversation over Skype. We talked about all the artists they work with, like Thomas Lang, and like Ray from Korn, like all these like incredible drummers, and then we also talked about, he's got such a wonderful business model, and the fact that when, they call anybody and everybody who uses Drumtacs an artist. It's not saying that they are sponsored or endorsed or anything. It's just, it's very inclusive. It makes you feel like you're a part of that community. Like, oh, I use Drumtacs. So does that guy. So this guy. We're all connected. We're all on the same team. We're all, drummers. And we just talked about, how Instagram is such a positive, place right now. There's not a lot of crap that goes on Instagram. People are posting mostly about what they love. I love drums. I love like movies and stuff like that. So, sometimes I throw little movies in there, It's all right. It's all Star Wars, It's all right. We can all live with it. But, we just talked about how, the haters are not really on Instagram. They're not, trolling people and, just being negative. And that's, it's just super great to, we talked about just the community that we've all, come into and how it's just great. We can have all these conversations, from distances. He was up in PA. He was up in Pennsylvania. I was here, of course, in North Carolina. And just having this conversation about drums and the music business and all that. So just a wonderful, very insightful podcast. Learned a ton. And it's just fun. And so I just wanted to plug, Drumtacs. Go follow them on Instagram. Go get you some. I tried them out. Let's see. It was about a couple months ago. I gave them away to another drummer who was like super interested in it. And, in this podcast, it's not about me hoarding all the stuff and like, I got it all. No, it's about, guy was interested. I'm like, yeah, here, you can have them. I get more. Don't worry about it. So, it was just, what I learned was he's only been playing drums for three years, which is so cool that he just like, I'm going to play drums. I'm going to do this. And it's like, that's just so motivating. It's like, we can all think, oh, I can't do that. I can't do this. It's so easy to say that to yourself. There's times I get on, I'm like, oh, why am I doing a podcast? Why am I wasting my time with this? And then you talk to people like him, are like, no, now I know why. It's because of people like him who motivate, who have that positivity and that just, as we Greeks call it, kaffy. He's got kaffy. He's got passion. And I like that. So he's also, he works with Rich Redman. He's Jason Aldean's drummer. He's a prolific studio session drummer. Does tours, does clinics and stuff like that. So he is doing one of his what he calls Crash with Rich courses. It's the Drummers Weekend in Nashville, October 28th through the 30th. Halloween Day weekend. That's a hard one to say. Halloween Day weekend. There we go. Haha. So yeah, he's got of course Rich Redmond is going to be there, and it's going to be all these other great drummers. If you're in the Nashville area, go check him out. I'm hoping maybe I can get out that way sometime. Maybe I might try. We'll see how anyways, but definitely for the next one, I think it'd be cool to get to meet these drummers, meet him in person, meet JC, and just maybe do like a big podcast. It'd be cool. Do like a live podcast. I don't know. I'm just dreaming, people, just dreaming. But yeah, so go if you want more information about the Crash Course with Rich, or Crash with Rich, as I should say, you can go to his website, www.richredmond.com, for more information. And Drumtacs is one of the sponsors for that. So, but here it is, episode 60. I told you, I think I have found the way this podcast works. Threefold: doing Skype interviews with drummers and people in the drum industry. 3, I skipped over 2. I don't know why. 2, dos is to have the discussions with Adam about certain drum topics like cymbals and snare drums and stuff like that. I know it's been a while since Adam's been on. It's just been working out times, getting everybody back into school because he's a teacher. I do my stuff, so it's finding time. We'll find it. And then 3, this is one I just came up with. Actually, my wife did. Is we're gonna start, instead of reviewing the stuff, me just talking about it, because it's not very. It's subjective. I can just say, oh, I love blah, blah, blah. Because I love Drumtacs. I could have somebody else on to have a counterpoint. We can agree. We can talk about the things we do like about it, things we don't, or vice versa. We're not going to be negative. But so I'm bringing in Z, who does the Fan Fridays for the Instagram. So she's going to be on. And so I'm going to have it for, a couple weeks, send it to her, and she'll try it out. And then we'll do a podcast about it. I think that will add a little bit more subjectiveness to the product, so it's not just my point of view or her point of view, it's both of ours. It'd be great to maybe we can bring Adam in on some of these and just talk about it. I think that's the best. Treat it like a movie review. Treat it like I just saw Captain America Civil War. I just watched that last night. It came out on digital, anyways, and talk about what we liked about it. Oh, that was so cool about this. You can do that with drums and drum accessories. So yeah, that's what I love about this podcast. It's always about finding new ways and new things to do. And so here it is, episode 60 with JC Clifford, Drumtacs, #Super Control. Woo! Ric Flair. Hey guys, welcome back to the Drumheads podcast, and I am joined by JC Clifford, or you guys might know him as Drumtacs. Assume #AssumeControl.
Gotta love it.
How are you?
I'm doing well, Daniel. Appreciate you having me on, my friend.
Oh yeah, it's been a long time coming. It's funny, we have both have crossed paths, and we probably didn't even know it. I know Jeff and Brad from Drum Smack.
Oh yeah.
And you've been on their show, and then see, I do their social media, so I'm like, duh.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I'm like, duh. He's right there. Just reach out to him. But I'm always funny about that. Will this person be like, oh no, I don't want to do it, but it's an honor to have you because you've done such incredible things.
Well, I appreciate that. Definitely, in the way I look at it is, I have the same look on business as I do in life, and it's just kind of to sound sappy, but I try to help more than I hurt. It's more about just bringing somebody up, and that's why we don't have, on our Drumtac social media, we don't have quote unquote artists. We don't have, everybody's an artist. Mm-hmm. If you're 7 years old and you're using the product mm-hmm. and you're posting and you're spreading the love, and in my eyes, that's better than a pro somewhere that maybe you can't see it even from the front row. You know what I mean? It's just and it's helped.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I talked to my wife about that that is it's a brilliant, from the marketing standpoint, you've, labeled everybody as artists. So it's very inclusive. It's not like an exclusive thing like, oh, you have to be sponsored, by Pearl and blah, blah, blah. You repost everybody's pictures, which is so cool and so, inviting to the drum community.
Yeah, and it's I love, everybody thinks that I spend hours and hours and hours, I find as much enjoyment when I have a spare 5 minutes of just flipping through just the Instagram feed.
Oh yeah.
And you just see so many creative, drummers out there, and it's funny. And we're getting into people that aren't even drummers. We have banjo players that are throwing them on a banjo. I not only do I think that's cool, but it just shows that it's become a little bit more of just a product based Instagram, page. Because I share people that use the product. I share people that don't. Whatever I kind of like myself personally. Outdoor, like this Vic Firth Hit Anything campaign they have going on. I love it.
Oh yeah, they're killing.
It's just so creative, and it's like I just find it just happened that Greg Heresy, one of the the guys that's been using our product for a while, they featured him on the Vic Firth page after I saw him, and I posted up, a whole percussive, just using kitchen pans and water.
Yeah,
I love stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
I can't remember if I posted it to my page or it was somebody else's that I did as well. But it's like, yeah, there's so many just creative people out there, and what's liberating about this time is we can, we see these things because when I was growing up, you didn't see videos like this. It was it was dial up. We had dial up internet, and it was slow as hell, and this is dating myself. That was back in the 90s. So,
dude, oh my God, how old are you?
I'm 33.
Okay, well, I'm going to be 50 in November.
Yeah.
You even saying dial-up internet, to me, dial-up internet was magic. Because I was at 25 or 26 years old. I had one of the first bag phones that weighed 12 and a half pounds. And it had a wire connecting it to a giant battery pack. That was a big deal back then. I think, and that was the early 90s.
Yeah, I think that was my first phone as well, because my dad was like, you're too young to have a phone that nice. And
he's not that nice, exactly.
And it's like nice, it's like I'm carrying around a duffel bag with, an 18-pound battery in it.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a weird thing, and to see the progression of like technology so quickly is impressive.
Oh yeah. Well, to touch on what you said, that's exactly, we live in a world right now that, I get heart palpitations. I walk out of my house without my iPhone 6. And in all intents and purposes, that's my office. My office is in my pocket. I can do more now in this day and age with that phone. It's my secretary, my logistics manager, it's my shipping, receiving, it's, product knowledge, it's everything is right there. And we also take for granted that we would never be in the position that we're at right now with a distributor, Big Bang Distribution, getting us into other countries and the US and the big box retailers and blah, 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 without us literally spending $1. We have not, if you want to count my cell phone bill and maybe my internet and my time, that's what we've invested into the company to get to this point, only because of social media, the internet, the ability to pick your phone up and see XYZ is using the product, but not that it's who's using the product, but how they're using it or what they're doing with it.
Yeah.
And it's been this grassroots kind of, I had a lot of doors open that I'll be the first to admit, super lucky, just happened to be right person, right time. Had a couple people that knew a couple people, started in California. One drummer, Nate Walker, told Ed Udis. Ed Udis knew Rich Redmond. Rich Redmond knows a couple people.
Just
a couple.
Yeah.
But as the doors opened, it was the drumming community then that, unlike any other community out there, one drummer finds something cool, they tell 10 drummers.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Guitar player finds a cool amp, he keeps it all to himself. not that I'm busting on all guitar. I'm a guitar player myself. But, it's you don't see that open-ended kind of. It's just the willingness to share and to be not want anything in return. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, for sure.
you get a handful of people. We get emails all the time. Can you send me out free product? Can you do this? Can you send me samples or whatever? And I could honestly say, like, from Thomas Lang down to those 6-year-olds, Thomas bought his first 10 packs from us because he played them in a studio out in LA and he liked them, and wound up saying, how can I become part of the company? I mean, that was our first huge door that, Thomas walked in and said, I don't want to just endorse them. I want to become part of Drumtacs. And he walked us into, Italy and France and Germany and Austria and all the 7 languages that he speaks.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah. But not just Thomas. Then, you trickle down to every, the next drummer out there that could be using it is not only, we don't have to wait for them to be on that next big tour because they're already telling people through their social media just about, just not just Drumtacs, but it just kind of, we started to get that little niche of, people, I guess it's a positive kind of reaction to, with all the negative crap that we see every day on social media. I do. I'm that sunshine, rainbow, unicorn, I look for all the dandelions and happiness, and I get to do that as opposed to letting all the other crap bog me down every day.
Yeah.
And drummers seem to enjoy, they get creative and they put some stuff out there it's a super positive spin that I have it doesn't take me 2 seconds to decide. I'm like, I see something and it's like, bam, I'll repost it. And it's neat to see that trickle down effect then.
Yeah. And like you said, it only takes a couple of drummers, but it only takes you a couple of seconds to repost that video or that picture. And it's so funny how social media works where, like, oh, this probably won't be real popular, and blows up, and you're like, wow.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah. And, but like I said, the positivity within, I've noticed the Instagram community, for the most part, there's a couple of dickheads out there that like to screw everything up, but we ignore them and push them to the side. But everyone else is just super, it's not a negative place at all. You've got, people posted in videos, how to play this kind of beat. You got people, showing off, equipment and all kinds of stuff, or just showing off, fan videos, which is, it's always fun to see. I love seeing, the Fan Fridays I don't do, but Z does, and seeing the videos she picks out, I'm like, oh, that's just so cool. It's just so rad. So.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. I agree. There's a girl up in New York, Christina, and Shianu, that when she started to use our product, I reached out to her, and that's the other kind of beautiful thing is like I've gotten lucky enough that I will find usually a drummer using the product before they'll tag or try to contact me and say, oh, could you share this? I really don't get a lot of people asking to share because if they tag it, and and again, I've had a few instances like what you said before. There's some, you got to love the haters out there. They're the ones that give us all the fuel to wake up in the morning.
Exactly.
And,
yeah,
just,
exactly.
I kid you not, that my motto and my operating, my, cause is that if I can piss off 10 people with my sheer happiness and, it makes me smile in the morning knowing that I'm annoying somebody out there just because I am pretty much over the top, happy, positive all the time. But she literally comes up with these creative videos that, and again, it's not a, oh, look at me kind of thing. It's just, you could just see how she loves playing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And it's like, and then Melanie Joe, like out on the West Coast, she started playing, went out with, the King of Kings through ZZ Top, and like everybody in general is just, you see the thought, and then we have like 7 and 8 year old kids that their parents, Alex Shoemaker in Jersey, I think he's 6 or 7. He's coming down to Rich Redmond's camp with us this year.
Nice.
Like, that's the other thing. He's got the parents of these younger drummers out there that are taking the time to put their kids in a position where they're learning. Like, it's not just, they're not showing their kids off. It's like these kids are learning how to, become that next, not necessarily touring drummer, but just the next step up. And how can they get better? How can they, perfect their craft, as Rich always says,
Yeah. Well, and then you got like Siros there in Sweden.
I love Siros.
He you can just tell just by how he he doesn't even have to say anything. You can just tell he's a drummer's drummer. He just likes playing, and he would play if he was not getting notoriety at all. He'd still be doing what he's doing, but
Oh, absolutely.
But what he's doing is is just awesome. So,
and if you take the time with Saros too to look at how he deals with people that post negative stuff on his videos, it's absolutely masterful. The way he must have the thickest skin in the world, because he will spin it to kind of get his point across, but at the same time be positive, and people are just, he's had some drummers of some notoriety go on his page and kind of bust him about what he's doing. And he turns that into if I can help out X number of people who don't have the opportunity to sit down with a professional and blah, blah. I love the way he just handles everything. The good, the bad, and the ugly. He's the consummate professional across the board. Oh yeah, for sure. And and his day will come. Well, he's gonna be huge. He'll be like the the next Rich Redden for sure. Yeah.
But so let's rewind and go back and let's talk about your upbringing and how you are. Did you come from a musical family at all, or?
Wow. Yeah. Yes and no. I mean,
yes
not playing wise, but the mom was the 50s and 60s. Beatles, Dave Clark 5. The Jacksons, more of a Motown. I had that kind of side of it. And my dad was the Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings. Diehard. Back in our day, like the country twang.
Actual country.
Oh yeah, I mean this was the old school, I remember my dad's first album that I remember him putting on that RCA turntable that was the wooden brown with the gold patch, in front of the speakers, and it looked like an end table. It was so big.
Yeah, my dad had one as well.
Yeah, but it was called WW2. It was Waylon and Willing, or Waylon and Willie Nelson, World War II. And quite frankly, my brother and I would just be rolling on the ground, holding our ears like we were bleeding from the brain, just to pester my dad,
Thanks, guys.
Oh yeah, but like anything, it did give me a very diverse taste across the board, which I think has definitely helped me, and I've passed that along to my kids. My kids have such a broad variety of tastes right now. Oh yeah, just because there's no one diehard genre that I loved or hated, or it's all depending on the situation. You know?
Yeah, and that's for me as well. I'm not a. It's funny because I live in the South, but I'm not a fan of country music. I appreciate it. I'm just not a fan.
There you go.
But everything else, I'm pretty much game for. But it's weird being in the South. Everyone's like, "Oh, you must love blah blah blah." I'm like, never heard of them, but I'll check them out and see if maybe I'll change my mind, because this podcast has really helped me open my eyes and perspectives to different things, which is always great. And but we'll see where it goes.
No, I like what you said there. You don't have to necessarily be a fan to appreciate it, and I totally agree with that, 100% across the board. In its right place and time. I love blues, I love jazz, but I can only jazz to me is kind of being in a certain state of mind, relaxing, blah blah blah. But on the same token, I'll listen to Trivium, and I'm a huge Octane XM listener. I like Cutting Edge, Slipknot. I like Corey Taylor, Stone Sour. And it depends on the situation. So
yeah, I'll throw on Slipknot when I'm at work. I got to put this stuff up. Come on, Joey, put me through.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And jazz, it's one of those. If I sit down and listen to it, I start over analyzing it, trying to figure out what they're doing. Where I know Slipknot's going to be pretty much just standard, just 16th notes on the bass drum, at a blast beats and stuff like that. But you get into these weird time signatures with jazz. You're like, hang on, what was he playing 6/8? No, he was kind of.
I like the confusion of that myself, and I agree with you. And it's funny. But my draw to Slipknot was years ago. I went to Mayhem tour. Never had practically have never heard of them. And I took my then 10-year-old son, Jacob, who's now going to be 19, you know, and we saw Disturbed, we saw Five Finger Death Punch, we saw, you know, and Slipknot. And I was just blown away with the amount of percussion that Slipknot puts in a live show. And then to find out and read the backstory about they were the high school core and drum geeks and, you know, they were the quad players and the snare line. And it was, you know, to see that all incorporated into that style of music, that's what fascinated me.
Oh, yeah.
And I am not a fan of Slipknot. I appreciate them, but I pick and choose. There's certain songs I just get, and then there's certain songs, but that's like any band. But that's why I liked how you said that, because I thought, wow, you're right, because I can't like listen to an hour and a half of Slipknot, because I probably wouldn't enjoy 50% of it, because it's like anything, you pick and choose what you really get into. But the backstory and the history of them just fascinated me. That they took that, you know, core and, you know, drum line, blah 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 background, and that's what it you know, evolved into. That's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, and luckily, you know, with, you know, iTunes and stuff like that, you can pick and choose. You know, like, I like that song, don't care for that one. So you can create playlists. And that's the greatest thing, you know, with the digital age is like, okay, I can make and I'm constantly like agonizing over making the perfect playlist. And my wife's like, why? I'm like, just let me to my own devices. It'll be all right. But yeah.
Oh yeah. Best way to pass the time when you're traveling. And I spend the majority of, you know, my travel time is not in the air. I usually drive, because I like to see the countryside and what I'm driving in and around, and yeah, you just create those different moods. And I got my road tracks, and I've got my mountain tracks.
I've got like fall mix. Like my fall is my favorite season. I'm like, I've been putting it on. Like, come on, let's get into it. I'm ready for fall, but you know, still hot as balls outside. But it is what it is. Dude,
70 degrees in the Poconos today up in Pennsylvania. Absolutely. No humidity. It's absolutely gorgeous.
It's, you know, it's in North Carolina in the mountains. It's like, I was like, oh, the mountains, it's cool. No, it's not. It's still hot.
You're just higher up.
It's just, we're higher up. Exactly. And there's more pressure. So it's just even worse. But, so when did you start playing drums?
Officially about 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, this has been an eye-opening experience.
I bet so.
Yeah. I played guitar and piano almost my entire life. And when Christian Beaulieu, who owns the patent, and he is the one that actually invented the polymer that turned into Drumtacs, because we actually sell the polymer to a couple different companies. It's not just specifically. It started as a drum product, but we've licensed other companies that have created other products from it, which is really kind of cool. But yeah, he once we grew up together, long story short, and didn't really know each other. And he's about 4 years younger than me, and we knew each other existed, but up until about 5 years ago, we really had not spent any time together. And things came together, and make a long story short, we partnered, and he needed a business end for this product, and we started to develop it. And I kid you not, the more drummers I met, and the more I was around them, and the more I was around percussive instruments, I started to get just kind of a fascination on. So I got a ProLogic practice pad. Unembarrassed plug there for my boy Jason. And
that's all right. We're all about the spreading the love.
I got my red ProLogic pad, and I've got. Nice thing is when I do go out on the road a lot, one of the first things which I love is I generally get a pair of sticks from whoever I'm hanging out with the day, which is really cool. So some days I practice, you know, with my Rich Redmond sticks, and some days I practice with my Rob Hammersmith sticks from Skid Row, or, you know. But I'm embarrassed to say I wish I would have 2 or 3 hours a day to devote to it. So my evolution as a drummer is very slow, but I've got the ability at 49 years old to have some really major teachers, you know, I'm studying with people that I really have no right to be in the same room with. So I'm getting some good tips, which is very cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
So-
hanging out with Rich or Thomas, for sure. You know, you're gonna pick up a few things.
Yeah, Thomas and I have it was funny because that was kind of one of the he actually was the person who taught me what his idea of proper grip is, which everybody's a little different. But that was, you know, one of the most, you know, not to just blow smoke like everybody does, but, you know, Thomas is one of the nicest guys in the world to sit and talk to. And if you really listen to him and not his drumming, you understand why he can do what he can do. Because, like, in Austria, when he was a kid, he was that 5'6", like his life was a kit. It wasn't like there wasn't anything else. Like but he threw himself into it. And I mean, that's like he evolved into this, you know, timekeeping machine. You know, you just dial in, you know, in his brain, he just dials it in that split second, and it comes out. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And you know, and I've watched him for years. I mean, I remember going on Drummer World, and you know, with the slow ass, you know, dial up, you know, trying to watch videos of him, you know, and
yeah.
But
I can't even imagine that with dial up. That's fun.
It was brutal because, you know, you'd talk to your drum friends at school and be like, hey, you know, there's this cool drummer from Europe you need to check out, Thomas. And you're like, okay, and you type it in and you're like, oh, there's a video. All right, we'll have to wait 30 minutes for this to download, you know. And
oh, dude,
it was so brutal. I'm so jealous of like the kids these days. Like, you guys, you just don't know how great you got it.
Now it's funny because I don't know if you know who Dennis Liefling is. Dennis was a drummer. He came over from the Netherlands. His first big tour was Lita Ford. But I've run into drummers since then that I've met that Dennis was that big drummer from the Netherlands before he came over to the United States. They used to exchange VHS and beta tapes. Like they would mail them, and it would take 2 to 3 weeks to them to get to the States. We were at dinner one night, and you know, it was amazing listening to these stories. It was like, you know, these kids today can just go on YouTube and blah 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 blah. And I'm expecting them to say something like what you just said is like, yeah, dial up. We had to wait like an hour for the file download, and they were like, oh no, dude, Dennis goes, I would get out my beta camera, which was the size of a small bus, and put it on a tripod. He goes, and I'd record on beta tapes, and then I'd mail them to the States. It'd take 3 weeks. So yeah, isn't that insane? I mean, but that's a testament to what people do. You know what I mean? When you really are driven, you know, to get to that next level, you know. And it's nice that these guys have their stuff that they have out now that do it for free, number one. A lot of these guys that put that YouTube content up that are not necessarily, they might have their Skype lessons and stuff on the side, but they're putting themselves out there, which is, you know. Which
is awesome. Yeah, I speaking of the beta tapes, I brought out a VHS tape the other day and showed my kids. I'm like, you know what this is? And they're like, no. I'm like, and trying to explain to them, like, you know, you can't skip scenes. You know, you got to watch it in.
Oh my God!
And it's just like blew their mind. Like it's like, really, this is. I'm like, yeah. Especially my 6-year-old. He was like, huh? Okay. I'm like, yeah. And I actually have a Star Wars tape where they didn't edit it. You know. And,
isn't that funny?
And he's like, what do you mean they didn't edit it? I'm like, well, George Lucas, blah blah blah. And he's like, he did that. And I'm like, all right, you're a true nerd.
Oh my God. My wife and I were at a flea market years and years ago, and we found a DVD of Ultraman, which I used to watch all the time. And in my mind, I'm telling my kids this when I was 9, 10, 11 years old, like in the early 80s, you know, was the most amazing thing. I used to run home from school to watch this on TV and blah, blah, blah. And I remember I put it in the DVD player. My kids are all sitting around looking up at the screen, and you could actually see the wires of the jet flying across the sea, like the sky, and the smoke is actually going up.
Nice.
It's not. It's like it was so bad. It's like I don't remember it being like this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a total.
Oh my God!
It's a total mind. You know, it just like messes with your mind. You're like, wow, I didn't realize. You know, when you're that age, you're just loving the. You know.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's funny.
So being a guitar player, who were those guitar players that kind of influenced you?
I had, I guess, all your standards that everybody says in, every podcast or interview on earth is, Eddie Van Halen. I could never emulate him at all, but I still loved. I mean, it was a motivating thing. I believe it or not, I was more into like Stevie Ray Vaughan and more of the blues rock kind of guys. And I was lucky enough. It's funny going back to you were saying about my upbringing, about like was my family musical, but it wasn't my direct family per se. But 2 doors up from my house, where I grew up, was a band called the Jordan Brothers, and they were that band that was so big in the Pennsylvania area, but they had been on Bandstand with, like back in the 50s and the 60s, and they were about as big in our area as you could get. Aside from Tommy Dorsey, the band leader, who grew up in Shenandoah, Pennsylvania, which is right down the road from where I grew up at. But the Jordan Brothers were that band that back then they would allow us, all the neighborhood kids, they practiced 3 times a week in their garage, and they had a big cube van that was kind of their, bus in that day with all their gear. They would let us sit on the back tailgate of the cube van and watch them.
Nice.
As long as we were quiet and it was a thing. Like they were covering all the songs of like that current year, and I watched them how they practiced. And Louis Jordan was the guitar player, and he's kind of the one that made me want to. I took piano lessons. That was my only true instruction. Kind of hated my parents for making me take piano, kicking and screaming. Like going to my lesson every week.
I haven't heard one person say that they went willingly.
Well, and then the neat part of that story is now fast forward to my first year of college, and I'm homesick, and I'm at Kutztown University, and I sit down at this beautiful like Baldwin grand piano in the music room, and it's kind of almost like an auditorium music room at Kutztown, and it just wasn't I was away from home for the first time. It was a couple weeks. I started playing. And I remember looking over my shoulder after I was done, and there was all these students had like wandered in, and were just kind of sitting there listening to me, and it was amazing. It was like kind of that first connection that you were like, wow, I was like, I wanted to call my mom and dad up and say, thanks for kicking me in the butt. It's like I got it. You know what I mean? It took me a while to really see that, that connection, but. It's neat these days that I think that the kids that are taking lessons right now, I mean, at least in my mind, I think it's so different. Yeah. From the, getting your knuckles slapped with a ruler for not holding my hands in the proper position on the keys. I think the internet age and maybe the social media age has just advance things to the point where, it might be, not only do you have the ability to take lessons from whomever, but it's kind of, I think the community as a whole, it's just, it's more of a, an accepted thing, that kids are getting into it because it's just, for a love of music, not necessarily for any ulterior motives,
Well, and you got people like Rich, doing the master classes, and it's not necessarily, I know he does like more of the intensive day, or weekend camps, but sometimes just sitting down and showing like, here's a basic rudiment, or here's like a reggae beat, and just seeing it, and not necessarily like, like you said, walking around with a ruler and slapping people on the hand. I think that's, that went out of style, but I think, people, they'll find the person that they learn from the best, either through the internet or in person. And it's like when I watched, did you see Whiplash, the movie?
Yes. Yeah, I was just going to say pushing or dragging.
I'm watching that movie. I'm like, it's a great movie. I'm like, this is such BS, because if that was a real teacher, he would have been fired in about half a second. So, but now you can find, like Ciros, you can hit him up on Skype, and, you can have a really intensive, drum lesson, and you're 3,000 miles apart, which is
absolutely
so awesome. You couldn't do that 20 years. You couldn't even hardly do that 15 years ago or 10.
No, That's what I was going to say. And just, with all of the, the nice thing with these, companies that, it's unlimited accesses. And, we're even back when the internet really was big. I remember when it first started out, you had to worry about bandwidth and how long, like, was it a really good connection or how much am I going to have to pay extra?
Yeah.
Because this is going to go like 45 minutes or,
Yeah,
it's insane.
Or you had, hello, Sharon. Damn it, Mom! Did you?
Yeah. Oh, I did. Well, actually, I am so proud of my family right now because I'm at home and my wife and I have 7. There's only 4 still at the house, but my son is home from college. 2 dogs, a cat, and I've heard a pin drop. I mean, it's been
not my house. Like they I had to work this weekend, so they went to the water park.
There you go.
So I always try to plan my podcast around them because like they're all my oldest is 6, the youngest is almost 3. So when I close the door, they just freak out. They I'm like I'm talking to somebody, and they're like they just don't understand it. So
looking
I don't know.
under the door and
or they're beating on the door like Daddy. I'm like shh.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and where I have my drums and where I do all my podcasts is set up in their playroom because it's the closest to the internet, so I can have a good signal. And if they come in here, you'd probably hear like hitting my hi-hats and just doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And my wife, God bless her, she tries her best to keep them occupied, but kids are kids.
No, I know what you mean, dude.
Yeah.
My oldest is 23 today.
Oh,
Today's
wow.
her birthday, and our youngest is 6 also. So
okay.
we have every everything in between too. So there's never a dull moment in a good sense. We have our moments, but it's been it's one of those things. And the nice thing too is we almost all of them kind of started on the piano, and
Nice.
my son is one of these. I kid you not, he's almost like a savant. Anything he picks up, he can play within days.
Nice.
I mean, to the point where we got him a banjo for Christmas this past Christmas, and it wasn't just going from he plays guitar unbelievably, plays piano. We had a clarinet from one of my daughters like laying around, and he just asked my wife one day, he's like, whose is this? And blah, blah, blah. And within like 3 days, it sounded like the Star Wars bar up in his bedroom. I kid you not. Like seriously. And that's what he was playing. He learned like the Star Wars theme.
Nice.
Like, but he was playing it, to be able to take to a reed like that, like a reed instrument, like within a couple days is. But the banjo, he started playing it like a banjo, not a guitar player playing a banjo, just hitting strings, learning how to 3-finger pick.
Yeah, that's
it's like, and he's going to college to become an accountant, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So he'll be able to buy all the coolest equipment that he wants. And I told him you could play for the rest of your life, but it's good to have a backup plan. He plays in a band that they've locally have opened up with some pretty big names in PA. So he's had a taste of both worlds, which has been great.
Which is great, yeah. Because because everyone thinks, oh, you just do the podcast. I'm like, no, I'm actually, I work in a medical warehouse, so podcasts were what put, kind of, got me through the day. And so I'm like, I'm going to do my own podcast and talk about drums because, everyone I work with, I talk about drums, they just get this glazed look over their face, like, just stop talking, just stop talking. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So I had to find people. Find people to talk to about drums or just anything, I feel sometimes I'm like, is there just one person they can hire that has like some cursory knowledge of music and or Star Wars? Because that's my other huge thing. I'm in Star Wars and superhero movies. Like, can you? No, all right, we're gonna get the old guy again. Cool, all right.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the Star Wars guy growing up, but I had friends that were. But I was kind of always into DC Comics, and so similar geekdom,
Yeah.
But it's I know exactly what you mean as far as Drumtacs to me was, and I don't want to say a side project, but it's like we've always really had. I was in the car business for 23 years. But I always did stuff on the side, like marketing wise, and it was kind of a no-brainer to, once Drumtacs opened up the doors and I started to meet drummers, and then Rich was the first one to actually hire me full time to do his drum camps and his clinics and his public speaking. And so I've been about a year and a half now. I've been representing Rich, and he's branched out into acting and keynote speeches now. And we're doing the Firemen's Expo. It's about 10,000 firemen the week before the drummers camp in Nashville. So it's going to be an insane 2 weeks down there. But we've got 25 kids signed up coming into Drummers Weekend in Nashville, October 28th and 30th. The keynote before that. But then I wound up, it got to be enough where I partnered up with Jimmy Elcock and Lee Gamilla down in Nashville. And we then eventually, we wound up taking on Daniel Glass, and we just did Daniel's Jazz Intensive up at the Drummers Collective in New York, and that was a 5-day camp. And we're working now with Garrett Goodwin, and we're setting up, Garrett's doing some road, like private lessons and mentoring and what he likes to call counseling sessions, which are insane. He likes the more of the one-on-one instead of 4 or 5 or 10 or 20 or 30. We do hour blocks with him, but that's kind of like my main job is, it's that real sexy side of the music business, being behind a computer, sending out contracts, looking at road logistics of where the artists are going to be. That fun stuff,
I hear you. I hear you there. It's like, looking at your calendar, like, okay, I've got JC here at 2. Okay, then I've got to talk to Z at 4. And it's which time zone is this again? Are they on the East Coast? Are they West? Are they are they international? It's
Oh, dude, you should put a picture up of our text for the last 5 days. like, okay, are you West Coast EST? No, okay, it's Eastern Standard Time. Okay, South. Oh, that's right. South Pennsylvania, same time frame. That's right. Okay, good.
That's a good idea. It's like just. Blur out everything else, but just like it's and it's just me. I mean, I have a couple. I have Adam that co-hosts with me sometimes, and he does some stuff, and then Z helped out on Fridays, and she's actually going to start helping me review products. So we're actually going to start. I'll have it for a week or something, tool around with it. Then I'm going to ship it to her, and then she'll play around with it, and then we'll both have a discussion over Skype about what we thought about it, which. I'm like, because
that's a great idea.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
Well, and it was actually my wife's idea, which is I was talking to her at dinner one night. I'm like, how do we, you can just review stuff on YouTube and you could put pictures up on Instagram, stuff like that. But how do you have a review of a drum product? I think you should treat it like a movie, or something.
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
She said, we'll treat it like a movie. I'm like, all right. And so we're actually going to do our first one today, which I'm, super excited about. It's always about trying to do something different, see if it works.
Yeah. If I may ask, what's your first review going to be on?
It's going to be the Sledge Pad.
Dude, and absolutely amazing because I'm very familiar with the owner, inventor, and there's a small drum gear alliance that they all formed, and that's amazing.
Yeah, and it was one of those I was struggling to how do I review this? I don't want to talk about it just myself. That sounds kind of weird and boring. But I thought bringing in someone with a different perspective and different drumming background than myself, there you go.
Well, and it's funny because that's when you just said that, that's in my mind, that's exactly what I just thought is the fact that it's not just you. You're getting a second opinion from somebody totally different, which most reviews are just a singular person's idea of what it meant to them, not like an open, almost like a round table, of, hey, this is what I got out of it. What did you get? I think that's brilliant. That's absolutely amazing.
So that's what I love my wife for that, Mac. She just comes up with these ideas. Just I'll be struggling with it for 4 or 5 weeks, and then she'll be like, "Oh, blah blah blah." I'm like, "There you go. Thank you." And that's why I married you.
Seriously, that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So wrapping it up, I guess. So with Drumtacs, when your company and everything else, where is it heading for you guys? What's the bigger plan? I guess you could say.
Wow. I mean, that's the $1 million question, man. And I kid you not, I wake up every morning and, it's like you think you have that, we had like any company, we had a 5-year plan. we got super lucky and just got advanced, you know, in my opinion, maybe a little too fast, just because we've never run into a problem with product, you know, as far as running out, but we were what I would like to see happen, you know, in the you know, plan of all plans is our distributors doing a great job of getting the product out there. Our volume, like anything, is when you have a small niche product like that $20 under retail cost kind of product. It's more about volume than you know. So we're in Sam Ash, we're in Sweetwater. You know, we've got, you know, a lot of the mom and pop and 5-star drum shops are carrying now, and Big Bang's doing a great job of getting us into those smaller shops. But the smaller shops buy 10 or 20 at a time. You know, like they're not going to buy 100 or 500 or 1,000. So I guess my biggest, we just got in the UK officially, you know, as far as distribution with Big Bang, and they're also in Germany and France. And Thomas got us into a lot of smaller, like drum shops specifically that he was doing clinics in when he would go to Europe. So this is kind of taking us to that. Our next level is to where we're shipping out, you know, 5,000-10,000 units that are now getting spread out, you know, all over Europe. The U.S. is doing well as it's evolving. And then we have people like Jarrett, you know, and Dave Atkins at Drumeo that, God bless their souls, bought 1,000 packs. Put them up. They put them up on their Drumeo site just for their Drumeo, you know, followers and subscribers. They sold 1,672 packs in 72 hours. So I had to actually overnight another 700 units to them.
Oh, wow.
I got a little email from Jared. It's like, dude, yeah, we're almost out. I think we need to, he goes, I think we oversold. So, you know, but, you know, not a testament to the, you know, to the product, but just to the fact that Christian developed something that it's not for everybody. It's not just a dampener. It's more of a tonal control pad. It absorbs vibration. Not, you know, it's kind of, it leaves it up to the percussionist, and I don't say drummer because we have hand percussionists now that have figured out how to use them on cajones and how to use them on cowbells, and you know, the cymbal applications right now are really, Dave DeCenzo at Berkeley is one of the biggest proponents of using them up in the dome, you know, to short notes when you're recording. And so there's, I guess our next big step would be is to get obviously our national and international distribution to the volume level, and or I would love to see a drum company come in and kind of, I don't want to say partner, but I think we would both be valued by a company that really grasps what the product is, and they don't look at it as another alternative to all of the other products that are available. I don't name drop anybody, but you know, there's so many different dampener only products that are on the market right now, and some of them are awesome for what they do, but we kind of have that standalone, in my opinion, that it does so much more. And longevity wise, 12 to 16 months, you know, that's kind of a catch-22.
Yeah.
You know, go ahead.
Oh, well, and, you know, and just looking at it, you know, I had a pack, well, it was a couple of months ago that I bought, and, you know, I think I ended up giving away during a contest, but when I had them, they look, just looking at them, they look super professional in my opinion. When you look at like Moon Gel, you know, or someone else, they don't look as good, you know, like professional. These kind of blend into the kit, and, you know, they look like they're supposed to be there.
No, and I appreciate that. And it's, like I said, and I guess one of the biggest things I've tried not to do is, and it's just as from a company standpoint, I'm not a big proponent of finger pointing and saying, you know, we get drummers say about this and that, and they may kind of poke a little fun about a product or whatever. That's one thing I don't like as a company. I would never come out and say XYZ's product is garbage because blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? I think there's an application for almost everything that's out there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Look at gaff tape and wallets.
I know. That gaff tape is, you know, so amazing. When it came out, I'm like, oh, this is incredible.
But you know, I work with a lot of studios. I've been, you know, for a portion of my adult life, I've you know, Soundmind recording studios up here in Strasbourg. I've been there when Danny's getting drum tones, and like when we're setting up a session, and it's like, you know what, there's a time and place for the towels and wallets, and Jesus, even, you know, I've seen Chuck Treese from the original McRad, the punk days. He'll come in and he'll cover the head literally with so much gaff tape, you know, because it's just a tone that he's looking for.
Yeah.
You know, we've developed another tool, you know, that's out there. And, you know, it's not for like everything, but at the end of the day, I think, you know, drummers are starting to realize that it's just not another, you know, knockoff of all of the current stuff they've been used to. And they give it a chance and they try it out. And, you know, like I said, we've been blessed with some, you know, super great people have been, you know, heading the charge for us that, you know, it's just a good product to at least try out, you know. And in my opinion, for $20, that was our biggest thing. Is people were like, "Oh my God, it's $20." I was like, you know, well, cymbals are $300.
Yeah,
drums are $1,500 or $2,000. Is like, you know what? Use what you like. But if it's the difference of $14 or whatever, you know, maybe you need that $7 product. And again, that's not a dig. It's like, you know, but I guess my only problem is it's the people that feel the need to jump on social media and say, well, I can go to the Acme and get for 25 cents, get 10 sticky finger hands and throw them on my snare. And you know what? And I think to myself, well, that's awesome, man. If that's what you dig, but why would you need to come on and tell me that? You know? Yeah. Do it. Yeah. Don't talk about it. Just do it.
Yeah. Don't go on Twitter and at blah 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 saying your stuff sucks. I like Drumtacs better. You know, it's like just say at Drumtacs.
Well, that's it. That's it in a nutshell, man. I would never go, hey, sticky hands are ridiculous and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, if you know, that's what your bag is, man, and it works for you.
If you're wanting to give me a compliment, just say at Drumtacs. You guys are awesome. Thank you for what you're doing.
Amen, buddy. Yeah. Amen. And I appreciate your time today, Daniel.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll let you run, but yeah, anytime you want to come back on and, you know, you guys got some new stuff you want to roll out, we can, I can always have you on and, you know, talk again.
I would absolutely love to. As a matter of fact, I am going to send you some stuff. We are in the process right now. I can't talk too much about it, but we do have another product that is being beta tested at a couple major universities right now, and it is a drum corps related product. Not necessarily just for kit drummers, but as a matter of fact, it's actually designed for corps. And Christians, we're a little ways away from actually bringing it to market, but it's testing out amazingly right now. And yeah, as soon as I have a working prototype that I can send you, I would love to have your new instructional review with two drummers, which hopefully I see you expand to a round table maybe someday of 4 or 5, which would be totally rad.
That would be rad. Yeah. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I think, and you know, she's got a wonderful perspective that I think she could add as well, for sure.
No, and that's great. And dude, the biggest thing that I was surprised about our whole conversation today is about Brad and Jeff. Those two guys, we have had so much fun. I've only ever been actually on the show once, but I've been in California now the last 4 years for NAMM, and that's kind of how I met Jeff to begin with. The first time he had Rich on the show, and I'm good friends with Sean Winchester and a lot of those LA guys, and we've had so much fun. But he and Brad's from Bucks County, from Pennsylvania, so we kind of had that quick PA, common ground. But they've been amazing because of, like, I love their format, and equal to what you're doing right here now is it's just kind of there isn't the 7-question.
It's just a conversation.
Everybody gets that blah 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 blah. It just kind of free flows, and they have a blast. And again, anything I can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we need to get you down to Drummers Weekend.
For sure. I need to get to NAMM. That's my other big thing, is I'd love to get to NAMM and see all these people, because I do social media for Around the Kit. Have you heard of that one? Oh yeah, with Joe. Joe Gansas has been amazing. As a matter of fact,
he does probably one of the longest advertisements for Drumtacs I've ever heard, which I love him to death for.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just came on board with him, helping him with his social media. So it's been a fun ride, just getting connected with all these people.
Joe is the most positive, super pumped. You talk to him on the phone a couple times. You can't help but you want to run out of your house after you get off the phone with him and just like go do something. You're just I don't think he has a negative bone in his body.
No, he's super awesome, super positive guy for sure.
Amen.
Well, cool, man. Well, I'll let you get back to your Labor Day weekend, but yeah, for sure, I'll hit you back up in a couple months, and we'll especially when you're ready to advertise about that product, we'll have you back on.
Absolutely, Daniel. I appreciate it, brother.
I appreciate you, man, and everybody, go check out Drumtacs, follow them, and we'll see you guys again.
All right, buddy.
All right.
You be good, Daniel.
All right, you too, man. Have a good weekend.
All righty.